Hey, sports fans. It's Greg Medford. I'm going to shoot. Hey, Jason, would you close that, please? I'm going to shoot a unboxing video for you guys today of this knife that the boys made for me. They put the new Porsche Formula One paint job on there. I don't know if that's going to work, but I wanted to talk a little bit about this knife, the ASK knife, what it's for, what it's about, and talk a little bit about the price point, and hopefully answer some questions. I know I've had a lot of people asking me about this knife, so I thought it'd be worth spending a couple minutes just talking about it a little bit and maybe give you guys some like maker's perspective on it and tell you kind of where this came from. First of all, when you get the knife, it's got some stuff on it. It says disrupting the world with freedom and innovation since 1776. American service knife, ASK knives. Big points about it: it's a modular design, practical yet robust tools. It's premium CPM steels, titanium hardware. Now, people ask me about the steels all the time. We've done S45 was our initial prototyping, experimental work with the knife, and it's what we made. We did several hundred of those, and at some point changed over to MagnaCut. MagnaCut created a bunch of manufacturing and EDM challenges for us, which took some time to overcome and slowed the initial launch. We decided we liked S35 and S45 because they EDM, they cut so nicely, and they don't seem to be as supply chain constrained. So we're going to be primarily making this knife out of S35 and S45 VN. People ask me about this knife. What's the point? The price, this is a $240 knife. Why is it $240? Well, let me tell you why it's $240. It's American-made powdered stainless steel on all the tools, including the blade, some of the best stuff in the world for making blades. The hardware is titanium. It's Swiss-turned. It's all it's mined and made here in the United States. The handles are injection molded. They're done here in Scottsdale. They're done with American tooling. Give you an idea, you can get a $10,000 mold made in China, or you can get a $26,000 mold made in the United States. We had it made here. The liners on this are all titanium. The knife has got a lot of longevity, tool use, and tool use thinking into it for being a newcomer on the knife scene. It says warranty forever, newer used original condition. On the back, it's just American service knife, 100% made in the USA. It's not assembled. It's not substantively made in the USA. It is 100% made in the USA. The world's most modular and customizable knife. Premium USA-made materials like CPM steels and titanium. Carry the tools that you want, made by one of America's premier knife manufacturers. That's me. I want to talk a little bit about some of the stuff you'll see on the knife. Then it says here, a product of the United States of America, as if it wasn't clear enough. Now, I had this made for me, and I had them package it up so you guys can see kind of how to open this and how it shows up. So I'm going to use one of my desktop ASKs. And what you should do, this box, if you'll notice, it's got a couple of moons on the side. That's for grabbing it and sliding it out. So to do that, there's usually a little shipping disc, piece of plastic where we seal it. If that seal is broken, it means it's been open since we touched it. We want you to have a direct from the factory look and feel. When you've cut that, this thing slides right out. When it slides out, I'll leave this box off to the side. You'll see that the knife's carried in a piece of foam. You see the foam is actually cut a little asymmetrically. That's to accept the tooling. And there's some ephemera behind. I'll cover that really quickly. We've got a sticker, a patch, and some ugly guy's mug here talking about the knife. Inside here, you've got warranty, some talk about who the company is, care and maintenance. Don't try doing anything until you scan this little QR code. It'll take you right to a video that shows you how to do what you're about to do. Storage, tuning your ASK, and modifying with a little QR code. So you scan that QR code in your phone. A lot of you since COVID know how to do that. It'll take you right to a URL. And once you get there, without having to hunt around, you'll see a video that's kind of addressing some of your questions, comments, concerns, or needs. Okay, so that's the packaging in a little bit. Let me talk a little bit about this knife, okay? So, a lot of people have said, why would you make this if someone already makes this knife in the marketplace? What I did was I just didn't put like $2 million into this and take a crack at it. I talked to a lot of people. And what I found was knife guys who define themselves as knife users, they are not necessarily going to carry one of these for the knife. They may carry this as a backup, or it's in the top drawer of their desk, or it's in their junk drawer by their telephone in their kitchen, or they have it in the console of their Jeep or car. But they may not carry one around in their pocket. What I found was, look, I'm a guy who's been doing guy stuff my whole life, and I buy whatever I want. When people go to get me stuff for my birthday or Christmas, a multi-tool knife or Leatherman or a Swiss Army knife, those always are kind of like, they're kind of like omnipresent man gifts. And so people will give it to you. And what I found was, as neat as they are, I don't care if they have 26 tools on them, there's generally 3 things I use. I want to use the blade. I want to pry on stuff. I want to turn some things. And do you want to know what the answer for the most used thing on a Swiss Army knife was? Tweezers and toothpick. So I decided what I would do is, instead of making a knife that's trying to be everything to everybody, instead of making a knife that's mostly not mostly not what you use, instead of making a knife that sits in somebody's console or it's like their backup. Now I know, listen, the Swiss Army knife's a wonderful product. They're a wonderful company. They've been doing a great job for 130 years. What they're not good is the American way. They're not good for the American way, which is, I want something a little tougher, a little ruddier, and I only need a few things because I have opinions on how I use things. So when I asked people, what do you most use your knife or multi-tool for? They said twisting, prying, and shaving pulling the nail out of drywall because your wife wants the picture 6 inches to the left. You're changing out a doorknob and you get some slivers around the door catch when you screw that in and out, and you want to kind of shave those off. You're trying to get a screw head out of something and that's stripped, and you try to get under the head of the screw with your knife to hopefully get the teeth to bite and unscrew something. And so what I found after talking to lots of people, and I took lots of notes on this, what I found was everybody they said, I need a bottle opener, even though it's not often you need a bottle opener and you can always improvisationally open a bottle. People wanted a bottle opener. Okay, fine. You're out on the boat, you want your knife so you can pop open a beer bottle or a Sunkist bottle. You're at the hangar and you just got back from flying, you want to open up a Dr. Pepper. You got a bottle opener. Fine. So we put a bottle opener on it. The bottle opener's got a screwdriver on it. That gives you a lot of flat driving potential. Now we're working on a lot of other tools, but we got to start someplace. So this is the knife we launched. Now what's neat about this knife is not meant to be like, hey, it's Saturday. Today I'm going canoeing, so I'm going to put my woodsman tools in. And then on Monday, I'm back to being an electrician, and I'm going to pimp it out for being an electrician. I mean, I suppose you could do that, but it's a lot of work. It doesn't make sense. This is really for a guy kind of like me who I don't want to carry lots of tools, and I'm really good improvisationally using my tools to get my job done. So if you look in my pickup truck, I have one little tool bag, and I feel like I could almost build a house or an airplane with the tools that are in that one bag. So I'm kind of a minimalist. I don't need the exact tool for everything, but I just need something that's so convenient I carry it with me. And this knife has kind of addressed that. So I put a bottle opener on it. We spent a lot of time on the bottle opener getting it just right. The little hook that's here, it's actually pretty relevant. I put a screwdriver on it because, you try to make use of everything on a tool like this. But you'll notice I put the pressure of use behind the center to close. So I don't have it centered up on the knife. Because now any little lateral force, if it's centered on the knife, can close it. So we have it off center so that if you're putting hard pressure into it, it's pushing it into the lock as opposed to in front of the lock or right over the pivot. So any little lateral motion would make it close. So we put it behind the lock so that as you exert pressure, pushing harder or prying or whatever you're going to do, it's pushing into the lock spring. So it's less likely to close on you or not likely at all. Okay, we put half stops. Why did we put a half stop? So that sometimes a screw, it's maybe got a little more torque on it, or maybe the screw's a little stripped ahead and you're trying to pry, but you don't have enough energy to push and pry. You don't have enough strength to do it. So we put a really strong half stop so that you could put this into a pretty good stuck screw or screw, or it's got minimal head left on it, it's been a little worn out, you could push into it and crank on it, and you've got some leverage. We can do that because it's got titanium liners and backspacers in it. We can do that because it's got 1/8-inch tools, and it's kind of like an aircraft fuselage. It's got monocoque construction. The entire frame together becomes very strong. Rather, the sum, what did they say? The total is greater than the sum of the parts. Let's talk about the opposing tool. It seems when I'm using a knife like this out in the field improvisationally, I'm trying to get underneath a nail head. It seems I'm trying to pry something loose. I'm trying to get a hose. Let's say there's a hose that goes onto a barb. Let's say off the bottom of a motorcycle gas tank, there's a hose barb with a hose line that goes up on it, and it's cracked right at the bottom of the barb, and I'm trying to get this off. It seems like I'm always with the point of a blade gouging around up against the metal. I put this on here so that you can sharpen it. We put a suggested edge for where you sharpen it, and you can get here and real precisely cut off a tube, slice into the end of it with the right leverage, and then turn this and pop a little tube off of a little spur coming off of a fuel tank, or a little piece of plumbing where you've got tubing that slides over a fitting. A lot of times that tubing works around and cracks right below the fitting. So this is kind of the stuff I was thinking about. I was thinking about putting doorknobs in around the house and doing honeydews. I was thinking about every time I see like a piece of wood on my patio where there's a little sliver and I just want to kind of dink it off. Maybe it's right up against where a 2x4 comes up against a vertical post and there's a little chip that's kind of turned up. I want to get in here with a chisel and just shave that little bit off. So it seemed like after interviewing people and thinking about years and years of knife and tool use, the most common things I did was pry, twist, shave, and cut. And the first tool we released does that, and it does it well. You'll notice every time I do a tool, it's slightly offset from center, so that as you put hard frontal force on it, it's pushing it into the locked position as opposed to possibly flipping shut on you. You'll notice on my knives, when you go to close them, you'll feel like a little release, and then you hit a bump. If you look in here really closely, see if I can get a little pointer here to show you. I'm going to open up a paper clip. If you look in here at the back of this knife, let me see if I can focus the camera right there. You'll see a little bump right here. That little cam engages on a little notch on the back. So when this is closed, it's not meant to be right up against it. It's meant to have some space. It should have a little give and then it hits a break. That's not play. What that is, it's the normal resistance on a slip joint of this size, and then there's a little bump you have to get over. And I want the knife to communicate with you. If you're pushing, you'll feel it start to give, and you'll modulate your pressure, and you'll make sure it doesn't close on your fingers. But if you do go a little too far, it kind of hits a break right there, and then it goes into hard resistance. Then it gets to the 90-degree point and stops. Why? Sometimes you want to get in here like this. So it's really meant to be a functional tool. This is not meant to be like the ultimate fieldcraft knife, although I think it would work really, really well. It's not meant to be the ultimate at anything. And the idea here is to be the ultimate flexible. It's the ultimate customizable. So as our catalog of tools grows, you'll be able to put in and remember, you can take this and buy the single layer attach hardware, mounting hardware. You could buy the double layer, or the double layer comes with it, or you can get the triple layer. So with the triple layer, you can get 1 blade and 4 tools, or you can get 3 blades, or you can get 6 tools and no blade because you carry a Praetorian. So this is really, it's a working tool. This is not a cute little airport gizmo. Now you may see them someday in the airports where you can buy them and give them to someone. But it's really meant to be a working tool. It's not meant to be a little man tchotchke. Why $240? The material in this knife, the other knives you see in this category, they're riveted together. They're made of stampable steel. People say, "Oh, my ASK or my Swiss Army knife blade has never failed me." Well, most people don't use the blades very seriously. Some people do. The guys who are really into the knives, who are really into the Swiss Army knife scene, they buy a Swiss Army knife and they send it off to a pimper and pay some money. I don't know what that is, but it's got to be a couple $100. And the guys modify the knife and make it cool and send it back to them. And then they go, "Look at my really cool Swiss Army knife." And I go, "Really? That's very cool." And I love that. But I was trying to find a spot in the market where a guy could get a knife and in his kitchen kind of modify it and set it up the way he wants. It's not meant to be changed for every trip. It's meant to kind of tailor to the guy who's using it or gal who's using it. I'm a kind of guy, I know that with a little hex and a blade and a chisel, I can get a lot of stuff done out in the universe. I will use that a lot. Things I want on here. I would love to get scissors in here soon. Now, do you need scissors? No. Are they handy? Yes. They're crazy technology, one of the hardest things to make, so we're making. The whole idea of this is completely customizable, 100% American made. And it's the thing that is the defining feature of kind of American value. People talk about value. What's the value? Why does it cost this? Opposed to the prize bars. I see you guys. I want to talk just a little bit about that, okay? The materials for this knife, just the materials, not being made. If you just take the amount of S45 steel, the amount of titanium, all of this, and the titanium hardware that allows you to take it apart, plus the stainless hardened pins that are inside, it makes the knife more expensive to make it modular so you can do whatever you want. If I just brass riveted together, it would be cheap, and then you'd have to send it to a pimper to make it the way you want. I wanted it to be the ultimate American thing, just like muscle cars. You could change them up, suit your personality. Different wheels, different rims, stripes, paint jobs, pimps, different motors, different rear ends. Just like the 1911 pistol. This is in the same way that a 1911 is had a whole world of pimping to turn it into the industry it's become. I wanted this knife to have that potential. So, is it more expensive? Yes, absolutely. Is it more expensive than a mass-produced, finely done product made in Switzerland? Yes, it's more expensive because we have to make a living with it. I'm not 130 years old, and making it modular is expensive. That's all there is to it. Making it modular is expensive. Guys say, "Oh, this knife, it's an 1/8 inch thick. I don't know if that's such a thick blade, it won't cut." That's delusional crazy talk. 1/8 inch blades cut amazingly well. They can be a little thinner, they can be a little thicker. We did some tricks with this. We do have a thing. Someone just asked me about putting a key ring on it. We do have it a breaker that has a hole in it, so you can put a key ring on it if you want. So we've got a lot of options with this knife, and when you guys see the first iteration of it, you don't see everything else as it's available. And what happens is I'm seeing guys starting to do reviews of the knife, and people are making uninformed comments. So just from the horse's mouth, I wanted to talk about, obviously here's the base model that's in my office that I use all the time. And this is one the boys just made for me. I wanted to show you how to open it up and take it out of the box without destroying the box. I want to talk to you about the materials a little bit. I want to talk to you about why it's more expensive. Now, if you guys look, like the hardware's just not minimal hardware. The hardware's a nice big Torx head. It is titanium. It's got 6 guns. It's got an indexing hole, and it's got threading. Well, why do you think we did that? We've got some cool attachments coming that go on the outside there, including an exterior pocket clip. That's an expensive little part to make so that you can have a pocket clip from either end. There's a lot of things coming for this knife that are not all being launched first because we are a brand new entrant into this segment. I've been carrying one for about 3 months now. I carry it every day. I wanted to give it some walk and talk and American slip joint appeal. I got some feedback from some great guys in the slip joint community, and those guys were so generous with their time with me, talking about what they really want out of a slip joint and what they like, and giving it this kind of walk and talk feel and sound. As important as it is to them, it was important to us to make it that way for them. So we really went through a lot of efforts to get there. I won't be at Blade Show in Salt Lake. So the knife, there's a lot of things about this that are kind of hidden, and we encourage you to take it apart. We encourage you to watch the video on how to put it back together. Have some fun, like really knowing the tool and using it. And, you know, when you're in an emergency situation out in the field, the creativity of how you use your tools determines the outcome of your adventure. I wanted to put robust tools in the opening model that could be creatively used in a lot of different ways. And quite frankly, it excels at that. You're never going to have everything you need. What you don't want is something that's so big you don't carry it around. The number one comment that I've heard from multi-tool users over the years is they've talked about multi-tools having so much on them, they've gotten so sophisticated, they don't carry them around much anymore because they're kind of a boat anchor. I understand. This is one of the lightest knives in the business, with all titanium, injected hollow handles, and hollow ground blade and tools the way they're ground. Super light knife. Very corrosion resistance. Nobody's using these ultimate materials. You know, people buy knives for a lot of different reasons, okay? Value is kind of calculated by people a lot of different ways. And for people who value cheap, this isn't the knife for them, because it's not what it is. It's not cheap. For people who value phenomenal quality, they're going to see the price correlating to the quality. For people who want the best materials in the business, people are going to, if you know about quality, the price will equate to the quality. You know, a lot of you guys, I got a lot of guys out there that are fans, and I got a lot of guys that are haters, and a lot of guys who just call me out. They don't understand the modularity of it. It's not meant to be changeable every day. It's meant to be to set it up with kind of the things you think you're going to be able to improvisationally use the most, and then go have at it. You want to put green micarta on this? We'll do limited release micarta handles. You want G10 handles? We'll make G10 handles for it. We're making all kinds of unique custom upgrades for it, but we're coming out with the base model first. Next comes the Washington, then comes the Ironsides, then the Alcacay. Once those 4 models are out, you'll be able to swap the blades around. You know, some people don't like a spear point. They want a Warncliffe. Some people really like the 6 blade. So we've made that as well. And they all fit into this chassis remarkably seamlessly. That's the purpose of the knife. The purpose of the knife is to kind of suit it to your personality and then leave it. It's not to swap it around all the time. Nobody wants to do that. That's a pain in the ass. I wanted to do everything out of 1/8 inch because it makes life a little easier. And it makes for tough little tools. I wanted tough little tools in a standard thickness. You know, what people notice about it when they open it up is they say, man, it's got that kind of high-end knife feel. Good, that's what I wanted. They said, man, it's got the snap I expect from American-made slip joints. Cool, that's what I wanted. Guys say, oh, I don't really like a drop point blade. I say, hey, no problem. We've got other stuff coming. We've got the Warncliffe. We got the Monotanto. We've got the, what the hell's the other one we got? The 6. So we got a lot of different models of this coming out. So we've got a lot of neat things that we're going to be able to do to this, besides a whole different level of customizability. And to bring it to market in this country for that price, that's the actual price it costs to make it. We didn't like willy-nilly come up with a highest in segment price. What we came up with was here's what our material costs are, here's what our labor costs are, here's what a distributor's margin needs to be to carry our product, here's what a reseller's margin needs to be to carry our product, here's what the retail price needs to be to accommodate these guys. That's how we came up with it. I think it's, you know, a $40 knife in this day and age, it's hard to wrap my brain around, quite frankly. You know, people are carrying around $900 cell phones. You know, why do some people carry an iPhone that's so much more expensive in many ways than an Android phone? Well, there's something about the experience they like. There's some value they see in it. We want to bring value to this with the quality, the modularity, and the ability to do it yourself instead of paying someone else to do it. You get a mass production knife made by other companies, and you go to modify it and send it to somebody, you're going to have $300 into it by the time you've bought it, had it modified, and paid for shipping a couple times. You could buy this from us, and you can buy blades and swap them out. You can do it at home. You can buy handles, swap them out. You can do it at home. And for you pimpers out there who make handles, you can always call us up, and we're happy to give you the dimensions for the handle, and you can make handles for them and sell them on the secondary market. We're happy to have people. This is really meant to be kind of an open source platform for you to enjoy pimping and playing with and doing creative stuff with. And that kind of flexibility isn't free, especially when it's made of the best stuff in the world. That's my unboxing about it. What do I wish personally, Greg, out of this knife? You know, I wish I had more tools ready immediately, and I don't. Wait till you see the 16th-inch tools that slip into the 8th-inch space. There's a lot of stuff coming, you guys. So enjoy the ride. Get an ASK knife. Check it out. Phillips screwdriver is absolutely on the way. We have a saw on the way. We have golf divot tools on the way. I have so many tools coming out for this right now. I'm driving everybody in the factory crazy making all these other tools. And those will all fit in here really seamlessly. So do me a favor, hit the like button at the bottom. These sell for $240 retail. I just talked a bunch about why they cost what they do. And then maybe share this around. It answers a bunch of questions for people. And maybe folks, as they're doing their unboxing, they can, hear it right from the horse's mouth, kind of what I think about stuff. And then, there's always variance in build and feel. I find they lighten up in the first few weeks. The spring tensioning lightens up a little bit, and they relax a little. And I think they're wonderful. They're wonderful little knives. I just love carrying them. And it's really what good American stuff costs. I mean, there's no good American knife. It's very, very hard to find an American knife under $100 that's any good, that people really want to carry, that's really made in America. That's a lot right there. It's got to be good. It's actually got to be made in America, and people really want to carry it. That's a very short list of knives. And at the $240 price point, there's some knives in that segment, and we're in that segment too. It's a lot of knife for $240. It's got a lot of parts, and it has more flexibility and modular creative capacity than anybody else on the market. Pretty neat little knife. Anyways, you could send your money to a country that hasn't picked sides in hundreds of years, or you could send your money and spend your money in a country whose morality has helped spread equality and freedom for 200 and something years around this little third rock from the sun. I think it's worth spending the money here, and not just because it's me, because the dealer you buy it from, their kids have to go to college. The distributor who carries it is part of our family. They've got to make some money to make it worth it for their investors, and everybody here makes some money. And when you add it all up, it's the marketplace of commerce and everybody making a little profit along the way. It's okay. It's the American way. I can't beat the Swiss on their options. I can't beat them on their price. They went in a slightly different direction. I can beat them on the quality of the material. I can beat them on the feel. I can beat them on the ability to creatively adapt to our customers' wants and desires, and flexibility. That's what we win on. I hope you enjoy it. That's my unboxing.